All right, welcome to the coffee break, Outlet Platform Services coffee break. This is episode number 74. As usual, thank you very much for joining. Hope you had having a great week. And also, as usual, this is a very open space. We can any questions or topics or projects that you're working on. So let me start with you. If you have any questions or topics you'd like to bring up, yeah, let's go with you first.
Hi.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Augusta. Could you check, please? I recently, maybe a week ago, sent some kind of bug report to aps.help.com, but I didn't receive the answer, such as request number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has been created, something.
Yeah, so in most cases, you only get a confirmation that the ticket was created. But yeah, we can definitely check if that's moving. I know that we are a bit behind with some of those tickets, but yeah, definitely check out.
This ticket.
If you have, okay, you have the number here, right?
No, I don't have a number,
okay.
only a title.
Sure. All right. I'll definitely have the team checking. But yeah, thanks for reminding. I'm not sure if I can open that right now, but yeah, definitely check on it.
Okay.
So I know that there's a few things from our side that are quite new. I think the first one quite interesting is the data exchange GraphQL API. Not sure if you've seen that, and I'm always curious how many of us are using GraphQL, not only from Autodesk but from other places. Are you using that? Do you have other APIs where you have GraphQL interfaces? Just
not very
to bring this
often,
up.
to be honest.
But when you say not very often, do you have any other than Autodesk?
I used to use Monday.com API. It's also GraphQL.
Monday.com.
Yeah.
Matterport has a GraphQL query that I use.
Huh? Let me just get it. Monday.com, like this?
Yeah, Monday.com.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The one that this thing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And you said that Matterport also has it? Curious, just why I'm
asking. They have 3D cameras.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. Monday.com GraphQL and GraphQL.
The Matterport API.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Like sign up for it.
Interesting. So you can query. Oh, right. Cool. Okay. I was just curious because I know it's particularly interesting when you have tons of data, right? Like design data. And I was curious, how would that be working with other domains? But yeah, thank you. All right, I'm talking too much. Any other topics?
Oh, I have a more of a general question, I think, regarding putting the viewer inside of a JavaScript library like React, especially like if you do a wrapper object for that, then you want to start interacting with the rest of the website, the web app outside of the viewer. How difficult is that, like, to integrate with the wrapper? And would you then say, okay, then maybe do not use a JavaScript library at all, or what are your experiences with that, integrating into React? I know I've read the blog post on integrating, and there are some wrappers around, nothing official. Just wondering about that.
So you are using React, or you're planning to use React, or
I'm thinking about what to do.
Okay, yeah, okay. when you say integrate with the library, do you have anything already? And I'm asking that because, are you facing any challenges already, or are you just planning ahead?
Well, planning ahead, because
Okay, cool. All right. I'm sure there's lots of people that are using with React, other
I
than us
use
as well.
React.
And is it a pain, or does it work well if you like interact with the wrapper you use for it?
I use some kind of event bus. So viewer code, viewer extensions just push messages, React shell, subscribe to it or vice versa.
Okay,
I
and that
also
works quite well with updates on the viewer, or do you have any problems with that?
basically no, it works quite well with this
Okay.
event library. I also use how to say it. It looks like separated React apps for docking panels, and they also communicate with other code via this event bus. It works good for me.
Okay, thank you.
And I think to this topic, you mentioned you read a blog post. Was that the recent one?
It was, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, we keep getting these questions every once in a while, right? People asking about official wrappers, and I think at that point just felt we should just explain like our official stand on why we're not providing like officially maintained React, Angular, or Vue.js wrappers, and instead maybe just provide some recommended solutions or approaches for like how to build your own. The event bus is an interesting approach because I think I think the trickiest part about building a wrapper is really synchronizing the state changes that may come from either from outside the component or from within the component, right? And
that's what I was thinking about.
That's the trickiest piece. And yeah, I think again, like in the blog post, we outline some ways to basically making sure that the state is always synced properly. I haven't thought of the event bus solution. I think that sounds pretty good. Like an interesting approach as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the blog post that you're mentioning. Which one is that?
It was like building a React wrapper for the viewer.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Find out here.
Here, I got it.
Okay.
Posted in the chat. So this was the idea of maybe eventually we can pull in, more people from within our team or maybe broader Autodesk group with more experience with Angular or Vue.js, for example, to help us provide some recommendations on how to handle like Angular or Vue.js wrappers as well.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, some parts of the like the initialization logic, for example, explained here is going to be the same no matter what kind of web framework you use. That's also something quite important to keep in mind, like the viewer runtime initialization, right? It's one of those drawbacks of the global initialization procedure that the viewer uses, that you can't really reinitialize a viewer or viewer environment on the same page to connect to a different backend, a different API or Autodesk environment. I think some parts of this might be useful for other web frameworks as well. I'm guessing even for others, like the two-way data binding is going to be the tricky piece to get right.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I have a parallel question, right? How many of us are using React here? Can you do the raise hand on, or do the +1 sign on Zoom? How many are using React? How many are using my head is failing today. Angular, sorry. So I see 4 or 5 using React. How many using Angular? 1. Oh, okay. Any other package? And I'm just more like curiosity. No, nothing else. Just those 2. It's interesting. Okay, cool. All right, let's keep moving. And any other questions or topics?
I had a quick thing I wanted to confirm. So we have some PyRevit scripts. We're using PyRevit some plugins, and we have some Dynamo scripts. And to use those on APS, I believe, and I just want to confirm, they would need to be rewritten in like C# or F# or something of that sort. Is that correct? Is that true? Or is there some workaround where we can do that directly?
So you have Py nodes for Dynamo, and you want to use that on APS?
No, PyRevit. That's the Python wrapper for the Revit.
Yeah,
API.
yes, sorry.
And then separately, the Dynamo scripts. So 2 different things.
Okay, all right, 2 different things. So the second part, Dynamo, we don't have that yet. We don't have APS support for Dynamo. So this is something that, you know, it's a common request. We heard that many times, how to better support Dynamo, but we don't have it yet. Now the
Any
first part
for it, any projection of when that would be supported, or if it was be supported?
Nothing public, so nothing that you can use right now. If you look at the Dynamo website, they have a very open information about what they're planning to do. So whatever is there, it's whatever they're already working. I'm just saying that, just saying that Dynamo is a very common topic, but we know that this is important. If you look at all the requests we have, especially in Dynamo support for design automation, this is no top on our list. The previous top item was CloudWorks sharing models with design automation, and now Dynamo is on top of the list. But still, there's lots to do there. We don't have no roadmap for it. Sorry, we don't have a timeline for that. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I saw a post by Sol, the head of Dynamo, I think, was saying that the whole Dynamo is refactoring to .NET Core 6, and in the comments to that, there was a discussion where he mentions the fact that they're working on basically running Dynamo as a service. So I'm guessing that's under APS, and that's one of their main initiatives. And he wrote something about web APIs and web UIs for the whole thing. So that's the same effort, basically.
Yeah, that's right. So as I said, this is something that we know we have to do. To do that, there are a few things we have to do to support Dynamo, right?
Sure.
So one of the pieces of the puzzle is Dynamo as a service, right? Something like that you can execute your script. The other piece is how can I run APS REST APIs inside Dynamo, and also how can I make Dynamo connect better with other systems? So there are several pieces of the puzzle. And just releasing one piece of that will not help a lot. So we're trying to work out what is the best place. But no, being specific now, timeline, there's nothing yet, but there is a lot of research inside Autodesk to make that happen, right?
Yeah, and
now,
and to answer Mark's question, yes, in order to do some automation with Revit, you need. I mean, on the cloud, you need the design automation, which is basically it's like writing a Revit plugin, but without any interface, without any user interaction.
Yeah, and yes, you need you need .NET code. As I understand, and I may be wrong here, I think it's PyNet, right? So it compiles to Microsoft language, like that intermediary language, that can be executed in any engine because it's .NET standard. So it's .NET compatible, so it should work. But I'm not sure if I have seen that before.
I think this is how PyRevit and perhaps even the Python node within Dynamo run Python 3, because up until now we were running Iron Python on, Python 2, Iron Python 2.78 or something like that. And I think the Python net allowed this. It's actually a model that is bridging between Python and the .NET runtime.
And I think the rest of this is that design automation runs the exact same Revit you have locally. So if that's working locally with some additional, whatever is working locally should work online, except for the interface.
So PyRevit might be different than PyNet. Sounds like I believe PyRevit is starting up an actual Python and making calls into the C libraries from Python. PyNet sounds like maybe it's something that is compiled onto the CLR.
So which one are you using? You're using PyRevit?
I'm using PyRevit. And
okay.
every time you click the button in Python in Revit, it fires up a Python process.
Yeah, but I think the fact that recently was upgraded to accommodate Python 3 or 3 point something, and I think the thing that allowed it, because it's still a hosted application under .NET, I think that the module that allowed it to run Python 3 is the py.net. So it may, when you're writing PyRevit scripts, you can be unaware of this happening in the background. That's part of what Ishan did in the PyRevit, and I think it's similar in the Dynamo for Revit, the Python nodes, but I'm not sure, because you can choose whether to run Python 3 or Python 2 within those nodes, right? So that's the bridge as far as I know. Okay,
I'll look into that. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm checking our internal messages and information here. No, we don't support PyRevit because it requires some other things. Yeah, so it's not there. So that came from the design automation engineer. Being more precise. Mark, did you get it?
I'm sorry, could you repeat it?
So I was just looking at our internal Slack instance, and there is a message from this question came a few months back, and yeah, he said it's not supported. PyRevit is not supported.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, probably because it requires something else to run, not only Revit. And no, that something else is not part of the machine that is running Revit. Yeah, so just I think I said it before, but just to emphasize, right? So design automation is the same Revit you have locally. There is like a like a Windows machine that runs Revit, and every time you kick off that, this machine will kick off and do your thing. And that's why it's a very similar environment, except that it's very much blocked and sandboxed, right? But it's the same Revit run on Windows. And I believe that to run PyRevit, sorry, you need something else that is not part of the machine, like something else that needs to be installed. All right, cool. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, what else do we have? There is
We were,
something in, yeah, go ahead.
we were talking about design automation, just curious if there are somewhere on servers libraries, families, or project templates. Do design automation have it, or the only way is to provide with bundles or activity inputs?
So no, libraries are not available in design automation. Any additional file that you need to provide it yourself, right? As part of your automation. You
I
can
do
provide that,
like that.
yeah, you can provide that as part of the bundle or provide that on each work item.
Yes.
The main benefit of providing as part of the bundle is that it's already there. But the downside is that you have to update the bundle every time. If you provide on a work item, you can is more flexible, right? And the only suggestion is to have it very close to Autodesk, like host the data on OSS, so you don't waste a lot of time downloading that data. It's faster to download the data you need, right? Yeah. So Andres, you have a question about selective loading. Would you like to open your microphone?
Yes. Hi.
Yeah, we have the expert here, so.
Cool. So I ran into the blog post that you guys made not too long ago. I think it was earlier this month. And I thought it was very interesting, but I was wondering if this feature was focused mainly on the graphics part. Like, is it only visual, or are we actually working with a subset of the entire manifest? Like, are the metadata included in the selective loading, or are we only talking about what it's shown visually?
That's a very good question. Hi, Andres.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Right.
We had our doctor's appointment earlier today. So yeah, so this is focused on visuals, right? So
Okay.
due to the way the SVF format, or even the SVF2 format is structured, right? It gives us enough granularity to cherry pick the geometry that we want to bring into the viewer, but it does not give us, at least not yet, enough granularity to choose which parts of the metadata we want to get into the viewer, right? So for now, you have visual granularity, so you can choose which geometries you pull or you fetch from the server, but the properties, they still have to come in one piece.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Still very useful. So just so I understand that this filtering is happening before the module is actually loaded into the viewer.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And we still have the entire manifest there to work with.
Manifest, you mean the metadata?
Yes, the metadata.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
all the metadata is there. And yeah, so basically what happens is, I don't know if you're familiar with the SVF or SVF2 file formats, but basically they contain a bunch of different types of assets. One of them is a fragment list that includes information, just a very simple record saying, there is one object at this position, and it uses some geometry with this ID, and it uses some material with that ID, and it has this kind of bounding box, right? This kind of information is included in something we call fragment list, and that itself is already enough for us on the client side to be able to decide, okay, if you give us, let's say, a bounding box, if you want to use the spatial filtering part, right? So you can say, I only want to load geometries that are within this specific bounding box. So we can do that thanks to the fragment list, because even before downloading the geometry, we already know which objects are going to be sitting where in space and what bounding box, what volume they're going to occupy. That's why we can do the granular visual downloads, right? Loading. And for the properties, again, like, since you want to be able to actually filter by properties, we need to get the entire property database, right? So that's how the selective loading works today. We get the entire database, property database, the metadata, and then we run your query to decide, okay, if you're only looking for objects that have a volume property on them, and where this value of this property is larger than 500, right? We can run this query to get the list of IDs of objects that you actually want, and then we start pulling them individually.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
We have a bug report about this functionality, but I'm not sure if Autodesk received it. That
So the
was
bug
my
report
first
you were-
question. Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So that was about the selective loading?
Yes, it was about selective loading. I can show you. It will be rather quickly, basically. So I'm trying to filter out several categories like that. This one is not filtered. Everything is okay. And this one is filtered, and some wall geometry is missing. So if I turn on this guy, no one. Here we have a fragment ID 29 of this wall, but this one is missing. And here, and then the heat monitor. This one fragment ID 34, and same thing for sure with the APIs. Fragment doesn't have geometry. That's basically it. I have replit.com, I don't know how to name it, suggested one of blog posts. I shared all of the information, but I really didn't receive confirmation that request number 12345 has been created.
Okay, yeah, so,
So
I mean,
that's the support ticket you mentioned at the beginning, right?
Yes, exactly.
yeah, so, okay, so we'll need to get to that one. So just very quickly, so again, like when you use the selective loading, you're missing certain geometry that you are expecting.
Yes, exactly.
And that's an actual like individual little, like an individual fragment, or are you actually missing just some portion of geometry of one single fragment?
Some individual fragments of some objects. And again, at this example, wall has two fragments. One is loaded correctly, another is not.
Interesting. Okay, so, that's really strange.
Yeah, we probably have to investigate that on the ticket, and
Okay.
get back to you, just because it and yeah, thank you for sharing the links. We have that here.
Yep.
And yeah, and we are getting to the end. Sorry, we just have like a few more minutes. I don't want to move way too over. Just before we finish, right? I think I did mention that before, but I just want to emphasize that we are deprecating authentication V1, and the V2 is now available. It's available for a while now. And if you have any code that is using V1, it's time to move. We have updated we have updated the packages we use in many of our samples, but I know that many of us use different packages or different ways to do authentication. So be sure to move to V2. There are lots and lots of benefits there. It's including support for community standard for open standards. But yeah, take a look at this one if you haven't moved yet. And with that, we are just on time. Let me get my thing here. And
I see there was one more question in the chat.
Yeah.
How often do we run accelerators?
Oh yeah, that's interesting, right? Let me share here. Give me a sec. Here's my thing. Sorry, my screens are messed up here. Everything went out of place. Let me get this back. So if you go to community and there is accelerators, the upcoming events are listed here. So the next one is end of June. It's virtual. We are taking a small break during the summer vacation, but we'll be back after that. So it's usually once a month we have that somewhere. So yeah.
Okay, thanks. I was wondering if it was once every half year or something, then I would have made time. I would have changed my
Yeah, no, not that long, but yeah. So stay tuned to that list. All the upcoming events should be there. And with that, as usual, the next coffee break will be in 2 weeks. Same link, same time, Wednesday, June 28th. And thank you for joining today, and see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.